Today, Puboso has blessed us with a brand new GP Bikes beta. We've been on the current beta since 2023, August at that, so join me today in jumping in and trying out beta 22. So here we are on this beautiful 1992 Rothmans MSR 500, and we're going to be just nice and quiet here while we come out of this pits. Listen to this thing scream. So of course this is Doohan's 1992 Honda, and I do have a sound pack on. Obviously this has nothing to do with today's beta, but I just said I'd show it off because I know a lot of people ask me what I'm using in the videos. So decided 500, why not? Let's go to a real classic track. So this is Eastern Creek, if you're unfamiliar with it. This held the Australian Grand Prix for 1991 through to 1996 before they went to Phillip Island as we do today. Doing his first one here in 1992, with a history lesson before we get into it, and that is pretty much why I picked this, and also look how bloody good looking this bike is. But we're not here to do justice to this bike or the track, we're here to see what the new beta is like. So I've done a lap already just to make sure that the bike and track combination, nothing goes wrong, because there is a couple of mods so far, quite a few to be fair, that if you go into 6th gear on them, they crash your game. I believe a lot of Javilors, Superbikes are causing issues, something to do with maybe the way it looks like Puboso has maybe altered the gear ratios or some sort of gearbox simulation or something gearbox related, because it seems to be giving issues on a lot of mods. But I will put on screen the changelog. It'll all be in the description if you want to look at it. It's quite short, which is slightly disappointing, but at this point we'll just take what we're given. But so far, I must say it doesn't feel a whole lot different. I have played other bikes already, because I just wanted to see really is there much of a difference, and on these two strokes it doesn't feel as noticeable, I must admit. But one thing I've noticed a big difference, so obviously you would have seen there on the screen the simulation of the virtual rider, so that's the guy on the bike and how he basically interprets what the bike is doing underneath him, and how your inputs on the controller get translated into the inputs on the bike. Now up until, and I'll not remember any of the beta names, I will put them on screen. So the previous beta and the previous beta before that, they did go to the front wheel simulation, we'd say, but it had to be reverted due to some bugs, and basically the game was nearly unplayable. A lot of mods were really broken, but also for the most recent update, which was in January of 24, again, should have probably looked this up before we did the video, but at least I can put it on screen and editing what the actual data is. But basically last time we had an edit of an update for this, it was put back to the rear wheel, so basically the virtual rider, the guy on the bike, controlled the bike with the rear wheel, which is obviously not how in real life you control a bike. You control it with the front wheel. So now we're back on the front, which means the rear is a bit more loosey-goosey, and the front, oh, that's twice, nearly identical lines. So the rear is a bit more out there, so it's just different how the bike is handled from the rider. And it is noticeable on a lot of bikes that I've tried so far that the rear end is a lot more snappy, and you tend to notice first touch of the throttle, especially with a bit of lean, there's a rip. With the two-stroke especially, it's very noticeable, as we've seen in that same corner twice. Also, because now he's putting more emphasis into the front wheel, the way the bike rotates, turns in and brakes all feel very slightly tweaked. Big thing I'm noticing, quite hard now to trail brake, I feel. So with corners like this, you tip in, bit of trail braking. Bike doesn't like to turn in as much with the brakes, so you actually need to brake a bit earlier now and get off the brake earlier, which is something a lot of people struggle with. So you want to be braking earlier and getting off the brake to allow the bike to release and roll into the corner, which is one thing I've noticed. So just with the switch from rear to front with the virtual rider, that's definitely made a change. Like corners like this, I shouldn't run this wide, just a muscle memory of me tipping in, and just with the front brake on, it just runs a slight bit wide. I'm gonna try and not high side myself this lap out of here. There's the other 2 lines, 3 lines even, 4 lines, so we're definitely having some issues out of there. We saw there a little bit of wheelie. Overall, I feel like the bikes don't wheelie as much. It's not a huge update really. It says on Steam major update, which I think is because it's a new beta technically, but for me, it's nothing major. The main reason I'm making this video is I'm hoping, as he's now looking to put out updates for the game, that maybe it's the start to something to come, maybe, hopefully, because I'll show off some of the far distance audio around the track is much improved, especially in the replay cam. I will show some clips of other videos that I've seen in Discord that really showed off much better, so I'll show that off in a second. But There's not a whole lot really has changed. You can now there's a new setting for the setup so that they're copied across, but like, again, there was a feature where you could copy from different bikes or from different tracks rather, so again, nothing really we needed, so not really sure why that really shouldn't be prioritized in my eyes. But there is bigger issues with the game. Multiplayer crashes, we're never really gonna know what that is, but that's just again a kind of very vague shall we say fix. But again, every multiplayer launch errors, anything that's fixed like that, it's always good just for the overall running of the game, because I know there is still a lot of issues where people can't get into a lot of multiplayer lobbies. So it's, again, below there, look at all them black marks. And again, there's something clearly done with the gearbox simulation, as we've seen that a lot of the bikes now seem to be much shorter or ratioed, which is something obviously the game has taken differently and somehow altered the way it interprets some of the in-game setups with the different mods. So it's interesting, but for me it's not a million miles different. Now we are going to jump in a second to a slightly different bike just to give a bit of fairness, but I just wanted to do something a bit too smoky, too strokey just to start off. But again, around here I feel pretty decent. There's a fair bit of understeer, but overall, other than the beautiful sounds, I wouldn't say there's much to write home about on this mod. So I am just going to play two clips, pretty much the same clip. One is before the update, one is after. Thank you to Fishman for posting a side-by-side comparison, because it makes it a lot more obvious when they're side-by-side. But I'm going to play the first one, which is the non-altered before the update, and then I'm going to play the one after the update. I'm going to stay quiet for all this so you can listen on its glory. So we've gone a complete different location. We're now in the California hills at Laguna Seca. Now we clearly are on a different bike as well. We are on the BSB 23 pack, which is basically modern day super bikes, no traction control or anything like that. Now I've already ridden this one. This is the first thing I tried, so I said I'd use this in the video just to I suppose have some sort of understanding of what the bike's doing, and I can probably describe better what I feel from this beta just off of riding this a bit differently. So immediately, first thing to note with this thing is so much harder to ride now, because the rear tire just lets go so much more aggressively on the acceleration. It feels okay and stable and lovely everywhere else, but man, this is now what you would class as a high side machine, because it doesn't take much for it to get sideways. Now we're going to try and do a bit of justice on how hard it is to ride. So again, I'm not really going to ride the wheels off it, but you can see as soon as you put the power down, it just wants to spin. Feels like this thing now is like supercharged with the power it's putting out to the rear wheel, especially when it gets into its power band. It just absolutely wants to rip that rear tire to shreds. This bike also really emphasizes the understeer while trail braking as well. I will notice it very much down into what is probably turn 2 if this is 1, across the brow of the hill. Just you try and tip in here on the brakes, the bike gets to a certain point, but until you release the front brake, just does not want to roll around the corner. But out of here, again, I'm kind of hesitating putting on the throttle, waiting for it to spin. I'm not riding out of the corners, I'm waiting for the bike to eventually do that. So I kind of gassed it there just to show what I mean, but you will see it out of some of the slower corners. That there we go. I wasn't pushing there, I was just trying to roll out of the corner and absolutely let go in a big way. So I'm not too sure the ins and outs of why that's being caused, because apparently most mods are seemingly very similar now in the sense that the rear tire, all I can put it down to is now that he's controlling, he being the virtual rider, the guy on the bike, this fella, that basically if he's controlling the front wheel now, he's probably less control over the rear, which means we have to ride differently. So I wonder now, will it mean that you have to pick the bike up a bit more and cornerize it? But for now, it definitely seems that edge grip is very, very much different. So Just one or two things more about this beta. I feel like, again, I'll put what beta I'm talking about on screen because I don't know what beta is which. The previous beta that went originally to the front tire simulation, or front wheel simulation I should say, not just tire. I feel like we're only back to there now because now there was some sort of fork simulation issue at the time in the release of that one, so a lot of the game was really unplayable, and obviously it was reverted and now it's kind of gone back that way again. But I feel like maybe the game hasn't progressed, it's only kind of gone back to what he wanted to do originally, but that was nearly 2 years ago if my memory is correct. It's very satisfying hitting the limiter over there. But one thing to note is that, again, like I mentioned with the 500, the gear ratio seemed way different. So even on stock bike or Laguna Seca, which is not a power circuit by any stretch of the imagination, just got in touch deep there, had to basically over brake to get to the stop, and you saw there was no way I was pulling that down. If I released the brake, I was off the track. Now I am riding all these bikes on completely stock setting, which might overemphasize some issues that I feel in the beta. I'd say issues, just I suppose features really. I wouldn't say there are any issues at the moment other than some of the mods not working, which I'm sure they can be fixed, whether it's game issue or mod issue. I'm not too sure yet, as it really is only the first day of it. A lot of people reporting feels better changing direction. At the moment, I suppose at the moment I'm probably not really up to speed since the end of my last league championship on this. I haven't really played a whole lot, so I'm probably not in the most up to speed that I have been in the past, so I don't feel much different in that sense. I definitely feel like corner entry and corner exit, middle of the corner, bike still does more or less the same really. But it will be interesting to see how basically in the next week, 2 weeks, month of this game now develops after this new update, because it does take time for people to fix things and stuff, so it's not going to be an overnight fix for a lot of these mods. So it'll be interesting to see really where it goes. Will there be new mods come out on it? Will other mods be we'll say revamped slightly? But at the moment I am enjoying it. It does feel whole different to me, but I just do notice just a couple of things, and I'm quite interested to see if I sat down here and made a setup, would I be able to slightly alter how the bike handles trail braking? Would I be able to get a bit more rear grip? Would I make it slide a bit more and make it more controllable? Because at the moment the sliding isn't very drifty, it's more like whoop up over the bars, broken column one. It's one of those ones where it's a proper snap and high side. So I'm quite interested basically to see what the setups can be done with this game now. I want to see how much I can alter, I can get out of there. You can see how it just quickly lets go. Now again, I'm probably not on the best tires for this track and combination. The tire pressures aren't done, it's on a complete stock setup, so this might be that now the tire pressures are wrong by a mile off of the default. So I do not know the ins and outs of why it's been caused, but if you do know any more in the comments, let me know, because again, this is a very heavily community based game, so the more we know is always better. So drop a comment and let me know what you think yourselves of this new beta, and yeah, let's see where this goes. I'm interested to see where the game is heading, because for a while there I felt like it was kind of being forgotten about. GP bikes, the little ugly duckling next to MX bikes of our little road racing game. But yeah, finally another update. I'm very happy, and yeah, let's just see. Let's hope it's the start to something to come. But be positive, and let's hope Pibs gives us some more updates a little closer than a couple of years away. Anyway, I'm going to end it. Hope you have enjoyed, and I shall see you in a future video in the not so distant future. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.